Opponent, Beanstalk Giants, a forest into play, and then casts Yorvo? They do, wow. Greetings, everyone. I am glad to be here, and I am glad that you are here. Today's jank is in Standard, and we are playing Budget. Of course, this is our Budget series. Today's deck has actual 0 rares in it. Now, there is an upgrade path to take that I think, if you're building this deck, you're likely wanting to do. But I built this deck without even the main game plan in it yet, because darn it, I wanted to show you this deck can get wins even without pulling off shenanigans with your rares and mythics, right? Well, what am I talking about? We are mutating in Standard. And the card, darn it, where are you? Scute Swarm, there you are. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. If you control 6 or more lands, create a token that's a copy of Scute Swarm instead. So, normally, Scute Swarm makes a copy of Scute Swarm. So now you have 2 1/1s. But then the next land that enters, Scute Swarm makes a copy of Scute Swarm, and Scute Swarm makes a copy of Scute Swarm, so now you have 4 Scute Swarms. So then another land enters, and you have 8 Scute Swarms, and then 16, and then like 32, and you know, like that. And it just goes crazy, but they're all a bunch of 1/1s. Now, it says make a copy of Scute Swarm instead. So if you mutate Migratory Greathorn onto it, and then play a land, like, you know, Migratory Greathorn does, goes and finds a land, it'll make a copy of Scute Swarm, which is Migratory Greathorn. So now you have 2 Migratory Greathorns. So you can then go off and have like 12 or 16 or however many Migratory Greathorns. But you can do that as many times as you want, mutating Auspicious Starrixes and Pouncing Shoresharks and, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff onto it. And we played a Scute deck in the past on this channel and had a great time doing it. But I thought to myself, you know what? Darn it. I think we could build a very, very functional deck without any rares or mythics at all that you could then gradually change into the Scute deck. So here you are, Scute Swarm, but this is the main deck without any Scutes at all in it. So I'll go over the deck real quick, then we're going to play some games. I'll come back after we play our games, and then we'll talk about the different paths you can take on the upgrade. Of course, most of our creatures here are mutate creatures. The Glowstone Recluse, the Migratory Greathorn, the Auspicious Starrix, the Pouncing Shoreshark, Dreamtail Heron, all mutate creatures. But there are some mutate synergy cards here as well that are important, especially before we have the Scute Swarms in the deck. Essence Symbiote, whenever a creature you control mutates, put a 1/1 counter on that creature, gain 2 life. Which does work for itself. Baby Godzilla. Each creature you cast costs 1 less to cast if it has mutate. So it doesn't make Pollywog Symbiote or Essence Symbiote cheaper because they don't have mutate. They talk about mutate, but they don't have mutate. But all of these cards do have mutate, and yes, the mutate cost is affected, right? Then Baby Godzilla here also says, which is Pollywog Symbiote, if you don't have the art. Whenever you cast a creature spell, if it has mutate, draw a card, then discard a card. Then we just have 2 Tangled Florahedrons to help accelerate our mana because our mutates are a little more expensive. And we're only running 24 right now. Then Pouncing Shoreshark just bounces creatures back to their hand. The Dreamtail Heron draws us cards. The Auspicious Starrix, though, this is the heart of the deck. This is why you play this deck. 6/6 mutates for 6. Whenever this creature mutates, exile the top X cards of your library. Or exile from the top of your library until you've exiled X permanent cards, I should say. There is a very big difference. Where X is the number of times this creature has mutated, put those permanent cards onto the battlefield. So if this creature has mutated 3 times or 4 times, you'll note every single card in our deck is a permanent. If it's mutated 3 times and then you mutate Auspicious Starrix onto it, it is now mutated 4 times. Take the top 4 cards of your library, put them into play just immediately. That can be more Dreamtail Herons and Auspicious Starrixes and Baby Godzillas and lands, of course, but we also have a few big shots in here. Notably, Titanoth Rex. I have the special art for it, so it's Godzilla Primal Champion, but it's Titanoth Rex. If you don't have the special art, that's okay. 11/11 Trample, uncommon. When you cycle Titanoth Rex, put a trample counter on a creature you control. So what this does, folks, is it lets us have some really, really big things in our deck that we can Auspicious Starrix into and just put our opponent out. But also, if we don't have the mana to cast it or something, we can just cycle it away. It is notable, though, this deck does get lots of lands really quickly. The Migratory Greathorn puts lands out of the battlefield every time it mutates. So if you mutate onto, let's say, whatever, a Pollywog Symbiote, you go and get a land. But then you mutate a Glowstone Recluse on top of it. So you get another land, and you do the Glowstone Recluse thing. Then you mutate an Auspicious Starrix onto it. You go and get another land from the Migratory Greathorn, and you reveal the top 3 cards of your library, which some of them will likely be lands, and they all go on. So you will be able to hardcast these a non-zero percentage of the time. So very, very powerful card, but still notably an uncommon. So you can do this with other mythic rares or whatever if you've got them in your collection. But this, I think, is a very strong card because it does cycle away. It also gives your stack tramples. Sometimes you'll have a really big creature, like an Auspicious Starrix 6/6 that's gotten a couple of 1/1 counters from the Glowstone Recluse, so it'll be like a 10/10, but no trample. So your opponent just blocks it with a 1/1, right? So giving the trample is relevant, right? So anyway, moving on, the last other card we've really got here that's relevant, not a mutate card, is Beanstalk Giant. The 3 mana side of this card lets us go and find a basic land, put it on the battlefield, not tapped, just put it on the battlefield. So it helps us fix our mana since we don't have good mana cards. We don't have any rare lands or anything, right? And it lets us just have another really, really big thing to pop into play with Auspicious Starrix. You'll know there are 4 of each, so there are 8 total cards where if we're just flopping cards over, there gets to be a fairly reasonable chance that we hit one of these really big guys. Where this is almost always going to be it's cost 6 to mutate, so this is always going to be at least a 6/6 or a 7/7 by the time it comes down. Sometimes it can be as big as like a 10/10, right? So, yeah, very, very cool. I'm looking forward to playing it, so let's go take it out for a spin, shall we? All right, folks, this is not great, but I think it's okay. We will keep it. All of our lands being tapped is really annoying. Okay, thank heavens. So we drew an untapped land. That's great. That will allow us to cast Tangled Florahedron instead of relying on it as a land drop. Our opponent appears to be on blue-black, but we don't know if that's rogues or if it's... Okay. All right. Because there is a blue-black control build or whatever. I don't think we have any game whatsoever against blue-black control. The creature size and everything just doesn't make any difference at all, right? All right, so let's Glowstone Recluse, shall we? See if our opponent has a counter spell. They allow it to resolve. That might mean they just have a kill spell. It also just could be more flash creatures, right? Yeah. Soaring Thought Thief coming on down. Fabled Passage doing its thing. Yep. It's an island. Opponent thinking things over. Has not done any milling yet. Just gonna kill? Yeah, sure. Okay. Heartless Act. Oh boy, darn it, folks. That would have been nice to be able to kill off there. Alright, fine. I guess let's just mutate over. Find ourselves a land. And then I think we will cycle this after blocks. Or in response to a removal spell, whichever happens to be the case. Okay. Really don't want this to be Zara-san. Alright. Fine. Yep. Titanoth Rex. Giving our deck just a little bit of velocity here. Hey, it's a Starrix. Feels good, man. Alright. Mutate. Over. Gonna find a couple of cards straight from the top of our library, but before we do that, darn it, we're gonna go and thin our deck. Grab ourselves an island. Pop down an island and a Migratory Greathorn. Opponent thinking things over. Fine. We'll get in. Alright, Cunning Nightbonder coming on down. Alright, opponent just takes the rest of it to the face. That's 6 straight damage, folks. That's kind of a lot, for the record. Soaring Thought Thief strikes back. Sure. 2 damage this time. Alright, well. Auspicious Starrix. Oh boy. This is a lot of cards come off the top of the library, folks. So we're going to go ahead and grab a land first. Yep, that one. Then a whole mess of cards. 3. And 3. And mutate. One more time. Going to loot. And yeah. Garenvin is like, this went from 0 to 60 in a hurry, folks. So, again, just for those who maybe didn't quite know what was going on, when you mutate, with the Auspicious Starrix, it triggers all of the whenever this mutate things. So well, with anybody. So we had the Auspicious Starrix and the Migratory Greathorn already on there, but we had 2 Auspicious Starrix. So mutating onto it was going to trigger both of the Auspicious Starrixes. So they would look at we would get to reveal the top 4 cards 2 different times. So that would be 8 permanents going onto the battlefield this turn, as well as being able to swing with, you know, an 8/8, because this would give it extra 1/1 counters. And looting twice means we're going to loot away this Thornwood Falls and hopefully find something good. But yeah, folks, also quite a board here. We got the 10/10 Beanstalk Giant, the 11/11 Trample, the flying to stop the beats that way, the reach in case they had a way to stop the flying. Yeah, we had a whole bunch of things going on here, folks. So GG opponent, GG. All right, folks. Yeah, we go first. This is a pretty good hand, I think. Get to lead on Thornwood Falls. Not what I would call the best turn 1 play, but a tapped land means we've got both colors mana and everything, and we gain a life, so there are worse things, right? There are definitely worse things. Opponent starts on Archpriest of Iona. How about them apples? All right, well. Pollywog Symbiote. Baby Godzilla Ruin Reborn coming on down. Going to be doing some assisting with our mutate plan. Unfortunately, I think our opponent may have removal. You know, that's a pretty common theme, typically. Seasoned Hollowblade. All right, sure. All right. Well, then, if that's the case, let's just go ahead and mutate. It lets us loot. And hopefully we can find more mutators. Guess we're just going to get rid of the tap land there. And yeah, we will go over. Thank you much. And we're going to send the Seasoned Hollowblade back home. Yes. And get in for 4, I do believe. Indeed. Opponent passes. Unfortunately, we will not be able to mutate this just yet. This does make the mutate cheaper as well, the Pollywog Symbiotes do. But not going to be enough to get the Auspicious Starrix in. We should be able to Beanstalk Giant and Pollywog Symbiote next turn, though. So that part's good. That part is good. Our opponent may have just, like, an exile removal spell or something like that. You know, Banishing Light or something like that. Definitely could be the case here. Not quite sure. Opponent just gets in for 1. And passes? That's a little odd. That just screams counter magic if they in fact do, right? Holy cow. Okay, no. They do. They bounce, they use Brazen Borrower to bounce our mutate pile. Okay, that's, you know, annoying. But not actually the end of the world. Because us being able to mutate additional times once we have our Auspicious Starrix down is actually kind of a benefit, all things considered. Definitely like that. That said, thinking things over, opponent comes back with Seasoned Hollowblade. Folks, we've done this before. Oh, Nimble Trap Finder. What one are you? Okay, they get to draw cards. Sure. Okay. Yeah, no blocks. We will take our beats, I think. Opponent appears to be playing Blue-White Party. Gotta love a good party, folks. This, of course, a Cleric, a Warrior, and a Rogue. Blue's got plenty of Wizards, so there's that. Let's go ahead and do this here thing. Going to do a little bit of looting. Going to loot away another Pollywog Symbiote. We will go over. Thank you. Yep. And get to reveal a permanent. Just one. It's an Essence Symbiote. Hey, that's kind of nice. That is kind of nice indeed. Opponent reading our Auspicious Starrix. Nope, letting it go. All right, we are going to go ahead and just pass. We need to be able to block here. Really hoping our opponent doesn't exile our stuff. Opponent has a Pack Beast. And another Nimble Trap Finder. Oh, boy. Yeah. Full party, meaning somebody gets +1/+1 in flying. And everybody gets some kind of combat buff stuff. All right, Nimble Trap Finder coming on in. As is Archpriest of Iona. And that's it. Yeah. We dropped to 10. Not a great feeling. Yep, opponent draws a whole mess of cards. 4 of them, to be precise. Because the Nimble Trap Finder, of course, has that ability and is unblockable, right? So, alright, well, that said, let's hopefully just absolutely go off, do silly, silly things, and cause our opponent to shed some number of tears. Alright. Under. Alright, so we're going to send back you. Yes, take the action. Reveal some cards. It's another Essence Symbiote. Well, then let's Pouncing Shoreshark. Yep. Loot again. Actually, we don't need that either. Under again. And going to bounce the Archpriest and the Nimble Trap Finder. Yep. Yeah. Yes. Back to hand. Back to hand. And we're going to reveal quite a few things. Some lands and a Pollywog Symbiote. The catch is, with those lands, though, we're going to be able to give Auspicious Starrix flying. Yeah, folks, this turns out that it was a good turn. I think our opponent may be shedding some number of tears. So we're going to go under. Yep. We're going to bounce that creature and that creature. Auspicious Starrix going to grow. Yep. Yep. Our opponent, a good sport here. I think a lot of opponents would have conceded by now. Though they may just, like, you know, have a board sweeper. So we may just be in a lot of trouble. We do have the Titanoth Rex that we're not going to cast yet. Or we're not going to cycle it, we're going to cast it. And we also have the 12/12 Beanstalk Giant. So even if they do sweep the board here, I feel like we're not in terrible shape. But yeah, folks, I do believe that was good. We're kind of getting in there a little bit. Opponent starts on Archpriest of Iona. It's a 1/2. Nimble Trap Finder coming on down. And yeah, the opponent realizes there's just no way we can get enough stuff down to stop all of this. And they scoop it up. Indeed. GG, opponent, GG. All right, folks. This is really awkward. I think we are going to keep it. We have plenty of mana sources. It stinks that we don't have a blue source. If we can draw a blue source and get Pollywog Symbiote down on turn 2, that would be fantastic. If not, we're in a bit of trouble here. Yeah, okay. Well, it's fine. This fixes a lot of our problems. We're going to be able to go and find a blue source now. But darn it, we really didn't. This did set us back. We basically got Time Walk there. Oh boy, our opponent also Time Walked themselves. That is good news. All right, so Fertile Footsteps. Let's go and find, not a forest, thank you very much. An island. Yes, yes, please. And pass the turn. Opponent has Yorvo, Lord of Garenbrig, and they get in for 1. Sure. Well, let's Pollywog Symbiote and pass. I believe we're going to be giving it Trample here and cycling away this Titanoth Rex. Oof. Yeah, that questing beast. Real annoying here. Yeah. All right. Oh boy, folks, this draw has not come together. All right, so we're gonna mutate, draw and discard. All right. Over. That's good. And bounce the Yorvo. Yes, absolutely take the action. Thank you very much. We will cast the Thornwood Fall, or sorry, you don't cast lands, darn it. You put the Thornwood Falls into play and pass. We don't intend to block this questing beast, unfortunately, but if we had done it in reverse, right, they just get to make the same attacks that they made last turn, and our life gets miserable. Lovestruck Beast making a token. I mean, all right. We dropped to 6. I mean, we're not thrilled about that, but it is what it is. All right. Yeah, none of these things are great for us, but it is what it is. Yes, loot. Weigh a forest. Yep. Return it to the owner's hand. Hey, there we go. Get down a Glowstone Recluse. Discard the Beanstalk Giant. Cancel. Darn it. This one. Yep. Oh, boy. Alright, I guess we can get rid of that one. And going to go under yet again. Going to bounce and get lands. Yeah. Yes, folks, that is a risky attack. We've got to try and close this game out, though, at some point. These, the questing beast getting to come down and attack is really, really annoying. Yeah. But there's only so much that can be done. Okay, here we go. This is exactly what we were hoping for. I was going to say, if we don't get an Auspicious Starrix at some point, we're just going to lose. We do get some loots, though, which, in fact, we didn't need. So we need to return a creature, that one. Take the action. Yeah. Hey, there we go. Okay, so all of this was good. We do, unfortunately, need to do this, I think, because we do need to trade with the questing beast. Over. We're going to do it like this. Yeah. Well, no, that was wrong. We were supposed to hold back and block. Because they can cast a new questing beast now. But yeah. Yeah, that was an error, I think. Opponent, Beanstalk Giants, a forest into play, and then casts Yorvo? They do. Wow, okay. So that's not going to get the job done. We have another Auspicious Starrix, folks. We might be bringing this down. I was really worried for a minute there. Take the action, and I do believe that's GG, folks. Yeah, indeed it is. Good game, Mayhem. Good game. It was an honor. All right, folks, we are back, and I couldn't be happier. Honestly, the deck performed really, really well. We went 3-2 in the games. Honestly, it performed great. I'm not gonna lie, I think it did really, really well. One thing that I don't know that I've mentioned before on our budget series that I think is very relevant here is that you have in the play queue. I play in ranked, so darn it, every deck you saw was in diamond and ranked, and I went 3-2. So this is a fine deck to play, regardless where you play it. But if you play in the play queue, it tries to match the power level of your deck against the power level of your opponent's deck. It will not always succeed. It's just a fact of nature. People will try and play the best cards they've got, right? So oftentimes you will end up against decks in the play queue, not the ranked queue. In the play queue, you'll end up against, you know, lots of stuff that isn't. But it will try and match you with other decks with fewer commons or fewer rares and mythics when you have so few rare and mythics. So you might find, especially if you're playing this in the play queue and not in ranked, this may have just an excellent win rate, all things considered. You know, in the 60% even, potentially. Based on being aided that way. But even without that crutch of the matchmaker working for us, again, we played in ranked, the deck did great. 3-2 is a very, very respectable record, even for a tier deck in ranked, oftentimes. So, what to change about it? There are a number of things you could do. Based on the games, maybe a little more interaction wouldn't hurt. So maybe another Pouncing Shoreshark over top of something. We didn't tend to need the Tangled Florahedrons a ton, but they were nice, so I don't know that I would cut them. I think the life gain, particularly in like the mono red matchups and things, would help as well. So I don't know where we would go. But use your own judgment. Whichever cards are performing better or worse for you, you might go that direction. But notably, here are some of the cards that we would go to first. First of all, first and foremost, honestly, whatever you're doing, I think the deck is good enough. It doesn't need changes right now. Fix your mana. That's going to help a lot. So even just going from Thornwood Falls to Temples with the Scry would help a lot. And then maybe even going to cycling lands after that. The three color cyclers. That would help a lot. And even if you don't go to a third color, just having the fact that they're tapped lands, but in the late game you can cycle them away to draw more action or something. I think that could really help. But speaking of a third color, one direction you can go with this is Genesis Ultimatum. That's essentially what you're doing with Auspicious Starrix in the first place, right? Is you're just revealing cards from the top of your library and putting them on the battlefield. Well, in this deck, that's what Genesis Ultimatum is going to do. So you could do that. So you could add red and go Teamer. Alternatively, you could Brokkos. Being able to mutate Brokkos from the graveyard, really powerful in this deck. Since one of the problems is, what happens when you mutate a bunch of stuff onto this dude, but don't have him dead, and then they just kill your dude? Your stack's gone. Darn it, that stinks, right? So, might not be bad. Now, again, these are mythics, so it is what it is. Another direction you could go is Illuna. This is still the Teamer, but typically a little different. Whenever it mutates, exile top card of your library until you exile a non-land permanent. Put that card onto the battlefield, or into your hand. So it does, similar to Auspicious Starrix, but you get to kind of do them all, right? And it's a very, very large creature, 6/6 flying trample on its own. So if you have some Ghidoras, or in this case, Illuna Apex of Wishes, and Auspicious Starrix's, this deck's built all around the Auspicious Starrix. I believe every game we won, we had some number of Auspicious Starrix involved. So being able to diversify and have some Illunas could potentially be beneficial as well. Notably, we're all creatures anyway. Every blessed card in this deck is a creature, so you just get Umori the Collector for free. And sometimes it's just nice to have the extra card. Like, you may not even cast it every time. It's not necessary, but it doesn't hurt. It's free, right? So you could just do this immediately if you've got one, or later on down the road, add to this deck that one rare, and the deck gets a little bit better. Because when you don't need it, you don't ever draw it. It's just sitting on your command zone, or command zone as your companion. But then in games where you do need the extra creature, you just add it to your hand and play it out at some point. So your deck only improves, even if it only improves by a percentage or two. Like, darn it, it's fine. Questing Beast. We're in a very creature-heavy deck. Very, very strong, powerful card with lots and lots of keywords. Being able to mutate onto it, give it more keywords, flying, and who knows what else, +1/+1 counters and all kinds of stuff, trample and things. Like, yeah, I mean, could be better. Notably, one of the best mutating creatures is Gemraiser, but it's a rare. So this card definitely belongs in this list somewhere. 4/4 reach trample, mutating for 3. When it mutates, destroy an artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. So it gives you main deck artifact and enchantment hate at no cost. You're already doing this thing, so this definitely belongs somewhere. Probably over top of like the Glowstone Recluses or something like that. Maybe the Dreamtail Herons. That said, Garruk's Harbinger, if you're expecting to see a lot of black, this is pretty good against things like Gout or Rogues and stuff like that. The Hexproof from black, very, very relevant. Sea-Dasher Octopus, whenever it deals damage to a player, draw a card. Mutate for 2, though. Mutate for 2, just that ability. Whether or not it does anything else, mutating for 2, very, very strong. Heroic Intervention. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible. So if your opponent board sweeps you or has lots of spot removal and stuff, giving that, protecting your pile, very, very good. Brazen Borrower, just for interaction, but also, another creature as well, right? You can flop into this with your Auspicious Starrixes and stuff, but gives you an interaction that does that. Notably, also, Mythos of Illuna. You could go this direction as well if you were Teamer. where you can copy your Mutate stack, similar to the Scute Swarm plan, right? But also have it fight, and now you have 2 Mutate packs and stuff like that. Very, very strong. And then lastly, you know, the Mythic MDFCs, I think, belong here just because they're great spells in addition to lands. And Great Henge, because if you have green lands, the Great Henge is a great place to be. So that's that, folks. I have had a great time with you today. I will look forward to seeing you again soon. Before I go, though, I have a stream. I Twitch stream Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. 5 nights a week. I am streaming 4 hours a night, 6 to 10 Central Time. Come out and see me. Darn it. I'd love to have you. I would love to have you. Even if you just pop in to say hello, hey, I found you on the YouTube or whatever, that would mean the world. So come out and see us. We'd love it. And if you have recommendations for this deck, particularly if it's a budget deck like this, a lot of the time, the power level of this card and this card aren't that different. So this other card might have more uses. Let me know in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. I'll catch you all next time.